joined now by the artist behind the project Man in the City. It's sculptor John Sauve is with me on the MegaCast. John, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Tyler. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, good to talk to you as well. So let's start by talking about your art background. When were you first introduced to art, and what ultimately inspired you to become a sculptor?
Well, actually, I was always interested, and you know how there's people that are inspirational to you. And I remember at a very young age, my dad taking me to the Detroit Institute of Arts, and it kind of stuck with me. And in college, I took art history and ended up right out of college working for the Michigan Commission on Art in Public Places, which was a newly developed division that was dedicated to a 1% program. So all new buildings in the state of Michigan had to spend 1% on art, whether it's interior or exterior. We dealt with primarily public art, so it was mostly large-scale sculpture, but there was a lot of two-dimensional work involved in it as well. And that was my whole introduction to the art world from a professional standpoint. And ever since that job, I tried to figure it out. And it's not like there's an easy roadmap. It's just dedication.
We're joined by John Sauve. He is a sculptor and the creator of the art project Man in the City. And so let's talk about Man in the City. What were the beginnings of this project, and how has it developed over time to grow into today's work?
Well, it all started with an opportunity at a fundraiser I attended in 2008. I was in New York, Lower Manhattan. It was a fundraiser for a group called Henrik Martin Institute. And they had some kids' work that was out on tables, and they notified me. I ended up talking to a guy around some of the artwork, and he notified me that the kids' art program was cut for that upcoming summer. And so we talked a little bit more, and I said, hey, if I could come up with a plan, would you be into it? And he said, absolutely. So right after that fundraiser, I had a couple conversations, and the Mark Echo Foundation said that they would like to support something like that. And so we had a plan. And I also was at the time working with the two guys who started the High Line in New York, which is an elevated railway line and the newest public park in the city of New York. I say newest, but it's been about 10 years that that park has been open, and it's completely changed the landscape in Hell's Kitchen and Chelsea. And this was the very first public art project, Man in the City, on the High Line.
And so, John, the Man in the City itself is it's an orange metallic sculpture that is on top of buildings throughout the city. Why the choice of the location being on top of a building in the city, and not somewhere that's more visible to those that are walking about in the city from the ground level? Why choose the top of the buildings?
Tyler, didn't you see him on top of the building?
I've seen a few pictures of him on top of the building.
Oh, they stand out much better on the rooftop, trust me. And the idea is to position yourself within the city. When people are looking up, it gives them an opportunity to think differently. Just by catching it out of the corner of your eye, it makes you think about possibilities. It makes you think about your own place within the environment. It makes you think about the building itself and the history of the building. And you asked me about the locations, and when it came to installing these pieces in Detroit, it was more about my connection to those actual buildings and the architecture, whether it be because there's a nonprofit inside the building like the Scarab Club or Detroit Artist Market or the Detroit Historical Museum or the Dawson Great Lakes Museum, all these great iconic locations in which these sculptures are installed, also bring attention to those buildings. And we've utilized that over the last 10 years of the project to highlight the cultural events within the city of Detroit. And so each one has a personal relationship with me because, number one, I installed it, but number two, I have a relationship with the people in that building. So it's my way to meet new people, but also to support people that I've had a long-term relationship with and think need to be identified in another way.
And so earlier, John, you mentioned that your Man in the City work has also expanded to youth organizations across the country as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the connections between this project and your work with underserved youth and communities, not only here locally here in Michigan, but also throughout the U.S.?
So the whole concept of this project was started around youth. It was at this fundraiser that I mentioned to you that from the very inception, we've always had a connection to youth programming. It's one thing to put public art up and just walk away. It's another to feel this sense of commitment to the community in which you're installing the art. And that's just me. That's just my personal way of engaging with the community. And so I've developed this Man in the City project for kids art programming. And in the city of Detroit, we've done it. I was the artist in residence at the Bowl Family YMCA for a number of years. I worked with YouthWorks Detroit, worked Big Brothers, Big Sisters. In fact, tomorrow, I've been working with the Living Learning Center in Northville, which works with high school and older kids that, once you're out of high school, the support from the school system stops. And where do those kids go? And Living Learning Center does a great job at picking up the pieces where these kids, when they leave, they have another option, another support group that that tries to work with these kids. And I told them about the project, and for the last year, I've been working with them. And tomorrow, we're having an open house at Living Learning Center in Northville, where people can come and see the project and also learn more about a great organization in Northville, within the Detroit metro area as well. So for me, if one more person finds out about Living Learning Center as a direct result of this project, it's a win. And then the other part of it is I get a chance to communicate with people and learn new things in the process as well.
And so, John, we're joined by John Sauve. He is a sculptor and creator of the art project Man in the City, joining us on the MegaCast. John, you mentioned that part of what you love about your art is being able to have that interaction, and especially in your work with the youth as well, is to have that interaction with your community. And as the pandemic's gone on, we've had ebbs and flows of times when we were able to be more active and more communicative with our communities, and other times where we were needing to be shuttered away or be hands off. How has that impacted your approach to your art as well, not only for yourself as an artist and for that full sense of fulfillment that you get from producing your art, but also knowing that it takes on a different meaning, having that interactivity with your city when you're interacting with it visually versus with other people, or in addition to interacting with other people in the city as well?
Without putting too much thought into it, I would say the pandemic has only affected projects that I had scheduled, that were dedications of public artwork or group dynamic programs where there was a large group that was going to meet. Those things had to be obviously shut down. But when you shut that down, it doesn't mean I stop. I still have Zoom. I still have a phone. I still am able to make connections and make new opportunities. So my thing is, you just have to be able to bob and weave. And the good thing about what I do and how I approach my work is I'm always doing that. I'm always looking for new opportunities. And so when one door closes, another opens. And all throughout the pandemic, I was working the phone. I was, still creating, still doing other things, but I kept my communication lines open so that I knew when things did open up and shut down and open up and shut down again, I still, you just postpone or look for new things, and you got to be creative about it. So I would say it affected me in the sense of things that were scheduled, but not in the sense of things that were open to new opportunities. But I think everybody had to do the same thing. It's not just me.
We're joined by John Sauve. He is a sculptor and creator of the art project Man in the City, joining us on the MegaCast. And so, John, you mentioned that you have your Man in the City Mini-Man debut on Saturday, January 15th. It's tomorrow in Northville. You told us a little bit about that event. Give us more details in case people want to be able to join in on the event if they still can. Where will it be in Northville? At what time of day?
So in Northville, it's on the corner of 8 Mile and Wabash. And if you go to livinglearningcenter.com in Northville, you'll be able to find it. It's at 4 o'clock, and it's in the art department. They have the garage has been converted of this mansion. It's the Don Massey Mansion is where the Living Learning Center is located. It's 12 acres. Oh, it's an amazing place. There is just so much to learn, see, and do at that location. But we're going to be just in the art department. That doesn't mean people can't tour the mansion, can't tour the farm, can't tour the petting zoo, and all the other things that are available. They're really amazing people over there that their heart's in it. And it's a really dynamic place that's a valuable part of the community. So if anyone's interested in all, it's at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Go to livinglearning.com, and I'm sure you can find it.
And so, John, what other projects are you working on in the future that people may be excited to see if they want to keep up with your work?
Well, this past year, I was part of a Perrysburg sculpture exhibit in Perrysburg, Ohio, and I was selected as the artist in residence for the University of Toledo. And so we started on Monday. I'm working with the Achieve Academy in Toledo. It's a school where part of the population is actually homeless. It's a high school where part of the population is homeless. And so it's kind of a transient thing. Kids might show up for a couple weeks or a couple days and not show up again for a while. And for me, these are kids that really need what the arts have to offer. So we came together at this event last summer, and we've developed this program, and we're working with the Toledo Museum of Art to exhibit the kids' artwork. Same type of project, Man in the City. There's one located on top of the Toledo Museum of Art. The kids are modeling after that piece with their own miniature sculptures, and I'll be working with them through March to do an install and a dedication in April at the Toledo Museum of Art. And the whole idea is these kids go from concept to finished design. I'm working with a great art instructor over at Jan over at the Allegiance Academy on this project. And the transformation that can occur with these kids is amazing, especially kids at risk. They need support. They need encouragement. And a project like this, no matter how small it is in the big scheme of things, it still can make a transformative thing. When kids work from concept to finished product, that means that they can, do anything if they put their mind to it. And if it sticks with one kid in this project, that's worth it for me. If one of them walks away with, hey, I can do anything. It's kind of a lofty goal, but at the same time, I've seen it happen, and I'm willing to continue to do it because I get more out of it than anybody else.
Well, John, thank you very much for joining us, telling us more about Man in the City, as well as all the other work in cities throughout the U.S., as well as with our youth.
Tyler, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.